Nearly 16 minutes before 2. Now, the North Staffs and Cheshire Traction Club has around 60 members, many of whom are from the Burton and Derby areas. Now, it hosts 3 open days a year, and they're based at Draycott in the Clay near Sudbury. And I thought, you know what? I'll go and pop them and see a visit and find out exactly what they do and what is there.
Hello, I'm Phil Jeffs. I'm chairman of the North Staffs and Cheshire Traction Engine Club, and we're here today at Klondike Mill Preservation Centre at Draycott in the Clay.
I'm John Ballard. I'm a committee member for the North Staffs and Cheshire Traction Engine Club.
I never knew this place existed. I've just turned off the A515 into here to be surrounded by traction engines and steamrollers and tractors. It's a real footprint into the past here.
It is, yes. We've been here now for nearly 50 years. The club itself is over 50 years old. The club owns its own engines, and it's a place where members can keep and work on their engines and use as a base when they go off travelling down the road at 3 miles an hour or wherever they go to, you know.
Really making the other motorists happy at that point as well. How many engines have you got on this site?
Presently there's about 18 traction engines.
And they're from all over the country, are they?
Yes, yes.
And what sort of age are we talking?
Right from 1882 up to about 1931-32, which was really the end of road steam.
So how did you get involved?
Bit of a strange story. When I first got married, I was very much into wine making, and we came out one September picking elderberries, and we found this place, and the man said, "Come in, have a look at that." And I'm afraid I haven't left.
so elderberries and wine were put on the back burner, and traction engines and no money came to prominence then, did
it? That's correct. And I don't think I've had a Sunday lunch for about the last 20 years. I've always spent down here Sundays.
John, how did you get involved?
Well, I came sort of from the railway preservation background. I was a volunteer at the Great Central Railway, and my father was involved there. And then from that I sort of went into a career working on steam engines full time in an engineering capacity, and then I came up here to do some work for somebody, found out about the club, became a member, and then wanted to get a bit more involved and came on the committee.
You can see everything that moves or shouldn't move or whatever, so when it comes to engineering it's basic, but it stood the test of time.
Yeah, that's right, and it's exciting in a way as well, because it's big heavy engineering. It's quite exciting stuff to work on as opposed to perhaps more small, delicate stuff. You know.
Do these things have personalities as well? Are there engines that you like to work on and some that you don't?
Yeah, definitely. Some are a lot easier than others to work on. I spent a lot of time doing the boiler making, working on a pressure vessel, and some of them are a lot smaller than others, and it doesn't matter which one they are, you've still got to get inside them at some point, and with the smaller one that can be quite difficult.
But also, when you switch them on, when you get them moving, are there some that are quite temperamental?
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, I think it's a bit like classic cars. They say they've got their own personality, and steam engines are no different.
Are we still finding them in old barns or in the middle of fields?
I think most have been found now, although occasionally the odd one gets found. Certainly British ones that were exported abroad are still being found abroad now and being brought back. Yeah, definitely.
The wooden structures you've got behind, like the carriages, what would you have in those?
Men. That's where they slept at night. So you wouldn't go home at night, you would go out contracting or rolling the roads for a week or so, and the men would sleep in there on the job there.
Let's go for a wander down.
Yep.
and have a look, because I can see just through the gap in what you've got here. We've been talking about the tractors that you've got around here as well, and like lots of the small tractors. And I know from my own experience when I went up to Hedge Windmill to open it this year, the tractor that we've got in front of me is one that I actually drove, and nothing like power steering. It was all to do with what went off in your shoulders, wasn't it?
Yes. And a little 60-year-old Fergie, grey Fergie, the archetypal tractor. It's still extremely useful.
And still in full working order?
Yes. Oh, yes.
When you find these places where the men used to sleep, the carriages behind them, we stood by one at the moment, and it looks like a railway carriage. Quite high off the ground, but how many men could you get in one of these?
There would be 6 men in that one. This one, quite smaller, there would be 3. That one was built in Dumfries for the roller, which is outside. You'll have a ride on later on. and it was built by the local undertaker who used to work for the council. Undertakers and joiners.
It reminds me, to be honest, although it's painted black, it reminds me of one of those roll-on beach huts where the ladies used to change to get down into the water.
Yes. But yeah, very comfortable. That was designed for 3 men, or 2 men and a boy, out rolling roads.
When you go out to various traction rallies during the year, do you still utilise these carriages in the way that they should have been?
Yes,
is that where you sleep as well?
Yes. I went back to Scotland about 14 years ago, and I took this back behind the engine and used this for accommodation to sleep on the journey.
You do things throughout the year, and we've got more events coming up, haven't we?
We have. We've got our October steam rally here on site at Draycott in the Clay. That's on the 18th and 19th of October. And everything that you can see here will be in steam and in operation. There'll be loads of other exhibits that come, and stalls and all sorts of things for people to see. And then in November we've got our fireworks display, bonfire night and fireworks display, and that is on the 8th of November, where we have a really big bonfire and fireworks display set to music, engines in steam, a whole sort of light show evening.
Let's go back to my visit to the North Staffs and Cheshire Traction Club. Got 60 members. It's just outside Draycott in the Clay, and I went down there to have a look around. And we've looked around at the traction engines outside. Don't worry, I do get on a steam engine in just a while. But before all of that, we went into the works.
Hi, Pete Massey. I'm the Vice Chairman of the North Staffs and Cheshire Traction Engine Club, but we're talking from the Klondike Mill recreation site, which is the club's workshop.
Everything in this place tells a story, doesn't it?
It certainly does. I mean, the engine we're looking at the moment is a 1924 Crosley semi-diesel engine, which was a generated engine, supplied electricity.
And it still supplies electricity?
It still supplies electricity to the site even now, yeah.
How do you get your hands on one of these?
This was donated to us. It belonged to a guy called Sir Philip Brocklehurst, who lived at Swithingley Hall near Macclesfield. And when his estate was sold, it was taken over by a property developer who didn't want to see the engine broken up, and so he donated it to us, and we brought it down here and installed it.
Where does your interest come from? Are you an engineer by trade then?
Yes, I was an agricultural engineer most of my working life, yeah.
But it's one of those things, when you see something, you've got to tinker with it. You've got to find out how it works, why it works, what it does.
Oh, you've got to. Yes, you have, yeah.
Do you work harder now than when you were at work?
Far harder than when you were at work. Of course you do, yeah. Yeah. If you asked me to do some of this stuff at work, you would have said, oh, no, that's too difficult or hard. No, you do it as a volunteer and enjoy it.
And what's it like once you bring something back to life? Because that's what you're doing, aren't you?
It's very satisfying when you see something that, was built like this in Manchester way back in the 20s and still running today. It gives you a good sense of satisfaction and the achievement of British engineering.
Do you realise just how far we've come, though, when it comes to engineering and Britain and the Industrial Revolution, when you are working on this from the past and you've got something from modern day? Do they compare and contrast or not? Or would you much rather have something like this all the time?
From my point of view, I'd much rather have something like this, but at the end of the day, modern technology is absolutely fantastic.
But there's no computers to plug this into, are there?
That's one of the beauties. What you see is what you've got.
And when you go out to events, are you always on the lookout for new things as well? Are you always, we talk about people having man drawers. Have you got an area of this room where there's things that you'll use further down the line or that you've bought and you thought that'll come in handy?
Oh, it's a great hobby for it'll come in handy.
Have you ever worked out how much you spent?
No. We never actually add it all up. That could be fatal.
That's what we're talking about, isn't it? This steam traction engine right on your gateway, in steam, turning over. This is what it's all about, isn't
That's
it?
right, yes. Yes, and capable of doing a day's work anywhere you want.
How old is the engine that we're looking at now?
This is quite a late one, built in 1931 and was new to Dumfries County Council. And 14 years ago I drove it by road back to Dumfries Council.
And what's the speed?
About 3 miles an hour.
How long did it take you?
It took me 10 days, probably the best 10 days of my life.
Because you get to see the countryside, people get to see you as well. There must be people always talking to you about something like this. There's something about an engine like this and the smell. Yeah. I can, we get that waft of steam that comes across, that waft of smoke. There's something about it.
It does about 5 miles to the hundredweight of coal and about 15 gallons to the mile with water. So we use quite a lot of water.
So you have to carefully plan whenever you're going anywhere.
That's
to
right,
make sure
yes.
that. Now, do you carry your own water and coal, or are there other groups like you that you can stop off at?
Yes, we carry enough water for about 20 miles, and we have to plan the route carefully to find out where we can pick up water. Coal isn't so much of a problem because we can, carry a ton of coal and do 100 miles sort of thing.
It's like a beating heart next to us. Isn't it?
Yes. Yes, come on.
It puts that smile on your face. I can see it now, but we're going to go climb on it. This is the great thing about doing this job, is that I get to climb on all these things like this. And when you're on the footplate, as it were, we've got the big flywheel, we've got a handbrake, we've got the wheel, and basically that's it, isn't it?
Yes, there's the fire here.
Roaring away. How long does it take you to get that started this morning?
About an hour and a half.
So it's a long time, but once you've got that going, you've got to keep that at a constant level then, once it
Yes.
starts to burn, haven't you?
Yes, yes. We've got the pressure in the boiler, which is currently 150 pounds per square inch. We've got the gear change here, which is optimistically labelled fast and slow. Handbrake there, and reversing lever there. And you can see all the workings. Those are the big ends there. It's constant loss lubrication, normally over your face, which is good because if there's a big end running hot, you can feel it hot on your face and stuff. It's quite a dirty hobby.
When you get down off one of these and you've got the soot on your overalls and you've got the blackness in your face,
Yes.
There really is. There's nothing like it, is there?
There isn't. We've got about 100 gallons of boiling water there to get clean. And we can get clean with hot water.
You can't beat an oily rag though, can you?
That's true.
People hearing this on the programme today might be thinking, how can I get involved? How can I learn more? Have you got a website for everything?
We have. It's www.NSCTEC, North Staffs and Cheshire Traction Engine Club. But if you type in Klondike Mill, you'll probably get to us like that as well.
And are we getting the youngsters coming along, a bit like John, to carry it on for the next generation?
Yes, yes. The more the merrier though. We need more people.
Listen, it's been brilliant. Thanks so much for running things for me this morning, and also for showing me around the place. There is so much to see. We've got old lorries in here as well, which are older than some of the steam engines that you've got in here. So if you want to see some of these in action, the date of your next event is?
The 18th and 19th of October.
Listen, thanks very much indeed. Can we have some steam to finish with?
We can?
I had a great morning. You can see the pictures on our Facebook side at the moment as well. BBC Radio Derby. All of those engines, thanks to everybody who was around there. The North Staffs and Cheshire Traction Club. I have a funny feeling I'm going back in a few months' time to have another look around. Coming up in the next hour of the programme, we'll talk Fest Day, of course. Fest Day weekend in the city of Derby.